Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Mrinmoy Pramanik. I teach comparative Indian language and literature in the University of Calcutta. Today we will discuss the role of the translator and the module 13, self-translation. Self-translation is a method of translation where the author of the source text involves herself or himself into translating it. Self-translation is quite interesting to understand the mind of the author and the mind of the translator, who is again the author himself, and the whole logic of writing a particular text. Author opens possibilities about multiple readings of a particular text, and author's mind is kind of gene which is continued within the translated text also. So it is about the whole logic of creating two texts. In other side, author creates a text. From the text, another text is being created. It is like a flow of gene. Mind of the author and the context creates a text. The text and the translator creates the translated text. A mind like gene is flowing through the text. Self-translation is also interesting to observe the process of constructing meaning within a text. A text always unfolds multiple meanings. We know it, and multiple readings of it. But while the text is translated by the author herself or himself, author directs or dictates the readers in a way through which she or he woven her mind during the writing source text and translating it. When the text is translated by other people who is not the author of the source text, then that person try to discover the meanings and the readings of that text which are there in the multiple layer of the text. But the difference with the self-translation and the other translation is the self-translator has a power to dictate the reader, to lead the reader in a particular way to find the meaning of a text. Author may feel that she has highest authority to reconstruct the text as a translated one. She may believe that the meaning of the original text is created by her, and she has most competency to decode the meaning and reconstruct those meaning into another language. A famous translation theorist, Montini, commented that self-translation cannot be regarded as variant of the source text, but it produces a true translation, because author only knows that what is the meaning of a culturally specific term, what is the significance or connotation of particular word in that particular context, which may not be decoded by the another translator. So Montini calls it true translation. So self-translation is a method to get true translation or adequate translation of a particular text. He further commented, as the author translator will feel justified in introducing changes into the text where an ordinary translator might hesitate to do so. What is again the authority of the author, because she has created the source text and she is translating the target text. This understanding makes the work of self-translation more complex, but in other side, self-translation may be helpful too to the translators or to the trainees who are undergoing training in translation. An adequate, comfortable self-translation can be appeared as a model of translating, which can be used in the translation studies as a model to teach the pupil that what is the way or what is the most adequate way to translating a particular text. Sometimes the author becomes bit uncomfortable with the text while translating as it is written by her. As the author may treat the creation as her own child, it becomes more difficult to help the text to be born again in a different culture and different context for the new group of readers. These whole issues related with self-translation helps us to have a better reading of a text and to understand the process of translation, mind of the author who writes source text, and also the state of the mind of the author when she or he appears as translation. There are so many great authors across the time, across the languages, across the nations who have translated their own text. Sometimes author's translation is rejected by the readers, and sometimes it is completely rejected by the readers. Translation studies as an academic discipline paid very less attention to the work of self-translation. So we have to inquire the area quite attentively. Here in this module, we'll try to discuss different aspects involved in self-translation. First, I would like to focus on the role of self-translation as an area of study within the discipline of translation studies. So, first issue of our discussion is self-translation in translation studies. Elena Banton of University de Lyon points out since the beginning of the discipline translation studies, very less attention is paid to the self-translation. Banton also found few reasons why this method and practice is not being paid attention, whereas many of the past literary figures, philosophers themselves have translated so many texts written by them, like Tagore, like Beckett. They did a good number of self-translation. Banton writes, there exists no empirical or descriptive research in the field of DTS. The full form of DTS is Descriptive Translation Studies, concerned with self-translation. It exists no empirical or descriptive research in the field of DTS or Descriptive Translation Studies concerned with self-translation. It is not even mentioned in the academic discourse of translation studies. Self-translation cannot be said to be a non-existence or an infrequent phenomena. On the outre, throughout literary and non-literary history, well-known writers, scholars, and philosophers have translated their own works. For example, he said about Beckett, Pirandello, Nabokov, and Rabindranath Tagore. Banton's point is self-translation is quite common and practiced well in different parts of the world. According to Banton, why translation theorists did not put much attention to the study of self-translation? Because they believe when an author herself is translating, she feels ultimate authority over the text, and the translation becomes a separate text rather than other translation. The question of fidelity and faithfulness towards source text also has been raised while it is about self-translation. We understand self-translation as quite a marginal study in the theoretical practices of translation studies. But this module and the existing works on the area shows if this practice of self-translation is not being studied sincerely, we may lost a lot to understand the system of translation involved in a particular literary culture. The critics, essayists, and theorists who have been referred here in this module very sincerely proved the significance of self-translation to understand the politics, the nation, colonialism, and many other issues commonly practiced in other humanities and social science disciplines. The next issue what we are going to discuss is definition of self-translation. It is worth to know that self-translation is also known as auto-translation. I would like to begin the definition of self-translation with Christopher White, who proposes in this article Against Self-Translation a definition of self-translation in a very literary sense. I quote, it means that the author of a literary text completed in one language subsequently produces it in a second language. According to White, the self-translation actually involves into the process of a recurring method. It adapts the recurring method to create a text in a particular language and again recreate it in another language. So there is no break between the original text or source text and translation. There is a recurring process, there is a continuation while the author himself or herself is translating. The definition of self-translation may goes quite appropriately with the translation of Malayalam novel Khasak Kinte Itihasam, which is written by famous Malayalam novelist O.V. Vijayan. In Khasak Kinte Itihasam, we can find the translation of it, English translation of it as The Legends of Khasak. The whole process of doing this translation goes very much with the White's definition of self-translation. Bandin, another translation theorist, says, by contrast, we propose a wider definition of the process of self-translating as the process by which a bilingual author transfer his or her own literary or non-literary work from one language to another. In this definition, notions of source language and target language are blurred due to the fact that the author is presumed to be perfectly competent in both languages, and either of those languages can be the source language or the target language. This definition actually tries to erase the binary and hierarchy of source language target language relation. Many translators and authors are so competent in both the languages that she does not know which one is her first language, in which language she is more competent or she has more expertise. So the author translation belongs to the space in between. This approach towards self-translation calls for a new move to the study of theory of equivalence. The theory of equivalence, which is proposed by Nida, and it is criticized and further discussed by another translation theorist, Anthony Pine. Next definition which we are going to discuss is by the Tassiopoulos. Tassiopoulos defines self-translation is one of the strategies available to bilingual writers to help them explore their specific linguistic condition, a bilingual or fragmented identity. Tassiopoulos further added, self-translation occurs when an author writes a work in more than one language. In doing so, Skinner writes, the author engages in an individual process by performing the act of self-translation him or herself. The bilingual writer moves between different sign systems and audience to create a text in two languages. Danby discusses self-translation or auto-translation is a subject of study for both the field of literary and translation. I believe this approach of Danby is very much important. If we adapt this approach in our literary and translation studies, we can find new horizons of our study, because Danby's argument is the self-translation is not only important for translation studies, but it is also important for the literary studies, where we are not specifically talking about the theories and the other issues of translation studies, because this such kind of self translation or self translation can bring or can opens new issues into the literary study. Because self-translation not only involves the translated text, but it involves very much the source text or original text. So Danby proposes a very significant approach in our study of self-translation, which is according to Danby's understanding, it equally can be used for literary and translation studies. As we do not know which one is the original, in common perception, the text which is published earlier is considered as original, and the language in which it is written is considered as source language. Anton Popovic, in his book called A Dictionary for the Analysis of Literary Translation, gave a very basic definition of self-translation. He commented that self-translation is the translation of an original work into another language by the author himself. Rainer Gutmann, one of the translation scholars who mainly studied self-translation, talks about consecutive and simultaneous self-translation. This is quite interesting that this theorist is talking about two kinds of self-translation. And while he is talking about this consecutive and simultaneous self-translation, he took reference of Beckett and Beckett's own translation of his own play and translation to the different other mediums. I mean, the translation from page to page, translation from page to stage, I mean, which involves the other science systems. So his study of this self-translation is actually enriching the whole discipline of translation studies, and particularly the area of self-translation. Danby says, in terms of consecutive and simultaneous self-translation, Beckett resorted to both modes at different stages in his career. For example, he translated Marpley, which he wrote in English in 1938 with the help of Alfred Perron into French almost a decade later. As Gutmann states, in this case, the English had already led an autonomous existence, thereby limiting the possibilities of innovation. However, there are still alterations in the self-translated version. In addition, there are instances when Beckett resorted to simultaneous self-translations. For example, while he was writing Byng, the French original, he was also translating it into English. As Brian Fitch has stated, while he was completing the English translation of Byng, he did not work simply from the final version of Byng, but on occasion takes as his source the earlier drafts of the original manuscript. This process may have caused the creation of a linguistic link between the source text and the target text, which is hard to observe in ordinary translation. Harry Grostrand goes quite further with self-translation. Grostrand did case study with the Finnish self-translation and finds how this works participate in the project of nation building. It's quite interesting. Not only national interest, but this definition of self-translation unfolds a text in the world of world literature. So self-translation, according to Grostrand and understanding, is not only being used in Finland to build the nation or national identity, but such kind of self-translations actually participated to build world literature, and it has enough contribution to world literature. The next issue which we are going to discuss is about the self-translation and Orientalist colonial paradigm. Actually, I would like to take two examples from Indian context. One is the self-translation by Rabindranath Tagore, his self-translation of Gitanjali, which is published as Song Offerings, and the next one is Malayalam novelist O.V. Vijayan's translation of his own novel Khasak Kinte Ithihasam into English as The Legends of Khasak. In Tagore's translation, Tagore took lots of freedom while he was translating his own text Gitanjali. Rabindranath took so many liberties with every Bangla original while rendering it into English that very often a poem got rewritten rather than merely rendered. Generally, he abridged or otherwise modified the original poem, sometimes even incorporated changes. Some are only partial translation of the original, while sometimes parts of the same original have been used to produce two separate poems in translation. In a few cases, 2 or 3 original poems have been telescoped into a single translation. The earlier volumes in particular contain a number of pieces that are practically new poems using old material, yet they are not that far removed from the source or earn consideration as distinct and independent entities. The outcome was the uneasy occupation of an isthmus between translation and creation that characterizes all of Rabindranath's poetry in English. This comment about Tagore's translation, Tagore's self-translation, is made by a famous translation theorist, Sujit Mukherjee. And the self-translation as Orientalist colonial paradigm, Professor Mahashweta Sengupta, while she was discussing Tagore's self-translation, she called it that Orientalist colonial perspective or colonial paradigm of translating. I mean, she finds Tagore's translating method as the Orientalist colonial paradigm, because Tagore has his imagined reader while he was translating. So it is not only rendering the original text, but recreating that source text for the Western readers. The next translation, what we are going to discuss, is O.V. Vijayan's self-translation of his own novel. O.V. Vijayan, in his English translation, in author's note and afterward, O.V. Vijayan says that it is very difficult to recreate the dense natural images of original Malayalam novel. It is very difficult to render the different dialects of Malayalam language. And so he tried to write a text in English language based on the Malayalam novel Khasak Kinte Ithihasam, and he tried the translation should stand on its own pace. Translation should have its own flavor. There is no need to understand the translation with the reference of source text. And while writer or author O.V. Vijayan was translating his own text Khasak Kinte Ithihasam, it is almost after 3 decades of publishing of the Malayalam novel. So the ideology, the practices of O.V. Vijayan is also have been changed, and the translation theorist and the critic Chitra Panikkar called the self-translation as self-mutation, because when O.V. Vijayan is translating his Malayalam novel into English, already a self-mutation has been happened within the person O.V. Vijayan, because his ideology has been changed. He left Communist Party and he joined as a devotee of Karunakara Guru. So these changes of his personal life has affected his own translation. Panikkar recognizes self-translation as intriguing phenomena, and she took Vijayan's self-translation as a model to establish this theory of self-translation. Not only about this novel, but Vijayan is also celebrated as translator. He gifted successful translations one after another. Panikkar referred the philosophical ground of self-translation, which is acknowledged by the translation theorist. She says self-translation is the expression of the encounter not with the other as another, but with the other of oneself. So the translation of one's own text involves problematic sphere of oneself. Author has to question herself while translating her own text. According to Panikkar, the author translator cannot approach the source text as a reader interpreter. Non-author translator always enjoy the reading of a source text which is supposed to be translated. She can be quite impartial to the source text than the author translator. A critic like P.P. Ravindran, Madhavan, E.V. Ramakrishnan emphasized on the changes of sensibility of Vijayan's English translation. Panikkar accepts this and goes forward to theorize self-translation. She says Vijayan corrected himself or righted himself in three ways. One is aesthetically or cosmetically, the second is in terms of tone and meaning, and the third one is ideologically. Panikkar includes with that Vijayan never aesthetically compromised, and he has righted himself to achieve or to establish the rhythm and style of the target language as his best. Now we are going to conclude our discussion. The conclusion of Elefthera Tassipoulos' literary self-translation, Exile and Dialogism, the multilingual works of Vasilis Alexakis, is worth to conclude our discussion on self-translation too. Tassipoulos comments the self-translator's place in the literature of each language in which they write as well as in translation studies. However, is it important for a third space to open up between literature and translation studies, where self-translated text and the dialogic connections they established can be studied as their own genre? 20th century writers like Alexakis have developed the genre of self-translation by creating a style of writing that captures and experiences of displacement, migration and exile by using new writing strategies, and they deserve their own space for analysis. Such kind of claims not only opens new approach to reading literature with a symbiotic relationship with translation studies, but also claims a new approach and space in the discipline of translation studies. To summarize the whole discussion on self-translation, we have discussed the definition of self-translation, the whole idea of self-translation, and how self-translation is important for the work of translation training, and self-translation can be used as model of translation. And we have discussed that self-translation is kind of gene which is flows from the source text to target text. Source text and target text has symbiotic relationship in self-translation, and self-translation claims its own place in literary studies as well as translation studies. And regarding self-translation, we took very significant examples from Indian context and from the context of world literature too. We took example of Beckett, which is quite interesting to understand the self-translation, which is important to theorize the self-translation also. And we always discussed, we also discussed that how self-translation is being used as a project to build a nation or to imagine a nation in Finnish translation context of Finland, and we discussed the how colonialist orientalist agenda has been used as paradigm of self-translating while Tagore was translating his own text Gitanjali as song offerings, and how the self-translation is a reflection of kind of biographical events or the kind of biography of the author himself regarding O.V. Vijayan's self-translation. And our final claim is self-translation helps us to understand the context, the poetics, the politics, the nation of a particular text and its translation, and it has space in literary studies and translation studies. Thank you.